Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery, IIMFL and Smart Money Alliance. It's my pleasure to visit with you this Wednesday morning, December 30th, 2020, our last Zoom training of the year. We get together typically at this time at 8 o'clock Central or a minute or so before with our distribution partners. Just to recap, we have three main categories of distribution partners. We have affiliates. Who wouldn't want to be an affiliate? It's free and easy, able to refer in, and we can help small businesses access capital. You make at least $1,000 for each referral, so that's good. Secondly, we have credit literacy educators. Those are our specialists that are really focused on helping, rather they be business owners or individuals in general, improve their personal credit. We're going to talk more about the Credit Boost program today and do some training off of it. So I'll leave the credit literacy educator topic for us to get started with in a minute. And then at the top of the hierarchy, we have our joint venture incubator partners. We continue to add on average one new joint venture incubator partner per day across the country. Those are the leadership team. We're working together. We do a 50-50 revenue split of the net profits, and they are very active in helping small businesses as well as individuals with credit boost and access to capital. So our focus today is to have some really practical training on the Credit Boost program. We had a call with several of you last night, some of our top producers, a Zoom, and put our heads together to assemble today's training so you can learn from some of the best of what they're doing, how they approach it, and so you could maybe replicate that. So we have three sections for our Credit Boost training, and hopefully my screen is shared with you. This morning I was a little delayed in doing that yesterday. We're going to start with getting started. Then we're going to talk about lead development strategies, and then we're going to talk about success tips. And then of course we'll open it up for Q&A. All right, so let's start with getting started. Probably a good place to kick this off. We provide you a landing page and a flyer to use for promoting Credit Boost. If you don't have that, or you've lost that, or you need that, then just request by email so we can help you with that. Now, certainly on the IIMFL website, there's a page on the website about Credit Boost, and there's an inquiry form at the bottom of that page that you could submit leads on. But it would be advantageous to you to feed them in through your landing page, because we're going to have better reporting, better tracking, and you don't have to worry about did they remember to list referred by me, because if they come through your landing page, you automatically get credit. So step number one is we need to make sure you have your landing page and flyer. If you don't have that, email in so we can resolve that quickly. Got to have the tools to do the job, right? And those are your tools. This next, and we had a lot of discussion about this last night, and I think it's maybe more important than what you first may glean. Let's talk about being in the right mindset, because if you're not in the right mindset for this, you probably won't be successful. So number one, recognize there is a huge demand, even separate from the pandemic and the layoffs and all the economic impact of 2020. In general, there's a large segment of the US population that has less than optimal credit. So I'm not just saying bad credit, just saying less than optimal, because you have a lot of people that have a 650, 660 credit score. I wouldn't call that bad, but that's certainly not where it needs to be for them to be able to get instant approvals and the best financing rates. So we're going to define our target market as anyone that has less than optimal credit. Typically, that would be anyone that's below a 700 credit score would benefit from Credit Boost. Now, you and I know that there's different reasons why someone might have less than a 700 credit score. A common example is we'll see people that have really used up the credit card access they have, so their revolving utilization is high, and as that becomes higher, their credit score comes down. But the point I'm trying to make specifically on this bullet is that there's a huge demand. There's not just a few people out there with less than optimal credit. Most people have less than optimal credit. And what does that do? It impacts their access to housing. It impacts certainly their ability to get a mortgage. And most rental units now will do credit checks. It impacts their access to transportation. It impacts employment. Increasingly, employers are pulling credit on job candidates before they hire them. Obviously, it affects access to loans, business loans and otherwise. So it's not just impacting an approval or not an approval, it's also impacting the cost of credit, because the higher risk they are, the more expensive that their financing terms are going to typically be. Beyond that, now, and you could almost not believe what I'm about to tell you, and you wouldn't hurt my feelings, but you know that we set up key person policies, right, for our clients that are going through the access to capital. You're familiar with that. Well, you may know, maybe you don't know, that they actually do look at credit in many cases when they are writing up or underwriting the life insurance. So not only does the price of like car insurance vary based upon your personal credit, even life insurance varies. We had a gentleman yesterday and he came back as higher risk for his life insurance. And I'm going to read exactly what came from the underwriter. These are not my words or me paraphrasing. So it says the top 4 reasons that came up on the client's risk classifier were: number 1, the number of collection agency filings; number 2, the number of credit union, savings and loan, or mortgage accounts established; number 3, the total credit lines amounts of all open accounts; and number 4, the presence of an account currently not paid as agreed. This is off of life insurance. This isn't a business loan. When I tell you that, you think I'm giving you feedback off of a loan application. This is the feedback from an underwriter for a life insurance policy. We are fools to think that credit doesn't impact nearly every aspect of our lives. There's a huge demand. Most people fall in this category, and you have a resource to help them. And they probably just don't even realize how much bad credit is impacting them. But huge demand. So that's number 1. Number 2, often people with bad credit only think about credit repair because that's what we're familiar with. Like take Lexington Law. I believe that they are still the biggest, the largest, I'm not saying the best, I'm not saying they're not the best, but Lexington Law, they enroll thousands of clients every day. They're absolutely huge, and they're kind of what you would consider a dispute mill, where they charge monthly and people aren't always satisfied, and it often gets drug out. But there's companies out there that are making millions and tens of millions of dollars just generating disputes, where what you and I do, it doesn't compete with that or conflict with that. We're saying, well, let's focus on adding positive. Wouldn't that help? What if we added positive credit? We boosted your credit score by adding new positive credit. We can almost always see nearly immediate benefit, on average 100 points within the first 30 to 60 days. So the second point of the mindset is understand that most people with bad credit are not thinking about credit boost. And that's kind of to your advantage and my advantage, right? We're not really competing with other credit boosting strategies or offerings. Typically, they're just thinking about, oh, I need credit repair, or I've paid for credit repair and it didn't work. Well, regardless of that, let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on how we can help you add new positive credit to nearly immediately improve your scores. So that's the second bullet here in getting in the right mindset. The third is most credit improvement solutions have an upfront cost. Now, there's even some federal laws that say credit repair companies aren't supposed to have advance fees, but there's ways that they kind of dance around that. And I'm not here to comment on that, other than clarifying that we do not charge an advance fee for the credit boost. We are paid off of results. That's what the world loves, right? Sure, I'll pay you based upon results, but I don't want to pay you in advance and be at risk and be out of money. So that's a very important differentiation that we do not charge up front for the credit boost. And then the last element of getting in the right mindset is that this is a really big deal. I think the credit boost program in 2021, this coming up year, will be a multi-million dollar program because we're going to help a whole lot of people. But that probably doesn't mean much to you as much as it can mean a big deal to you. There's no reason that each of you can't generate at least $10,000 a month without any selling involved, just by helping people with this, right? Because it's not a sales gig. We're not asking you to go collect money and sell people. You're just driving them into your landing page. And we'll talk about some other lead development strategies in a few minutes. But, and I know some of you are very, very financially successful, but there's a lot of people in the United States that an extra $10,000 a month would make a material difference. And so if you're one of those folks, it would be outstanding to be able to help people and add an extra 100,000 per year, legitimately, incredibly, to your personal pocketbook. All right, so those are the 4 key elements of being in the right mindset that the group came up with last night. So summarize, there's a huge demand. Many people need better credit. Second, most of them aren't thinking about adding positive. They're only consumed with what do I do about the negatives. Third, we have no upfront cost, and that's a huge advantage. And fourth, you can earn an adult income by doing this without selling anything to anyone. Okay, so there are the 4 elements of being in the right mindset. Thanks to those of you that were on the Zoom last night that helped with this. Moving forward. What they also recommended is you really need to be clear with the 4 key selling points. What are the key hot buttons, key benefits, key features of the Credit Boost program? And so we even put those in red. So as you heard me mention before, it's a no upfront cost offering. That's a huge advantage for you and us. That's a huge selling point, that the client doesn't have to pay anything when they enroll. Now, let's put a little asterisk behind it. In the Credit Boost agreement, it says that there's a $995 refundable deposit, but that will be waived if they enroll within 2 days of receiving the agreement. Well, you know as well as I do, you need to create urgency for many people, and this creates urgency. We don't want to collect that $995 from anyone, but what we want to do is move them from prospect to client quickly. So anytime you hear that reference, oh, there is an upfront cost, there is a deposit. Well, not really. You know, that is to encourage and to motivate people to make an educated decision. Do you want to enroll or not? And if so, let's get it done. Let's not sit on the fence. Why would you wait? Because there is no upfront cost. And we know that the sooner we get started, the sooner we're going to see results. So just be crystal clear. We don't want to collect that $995 refundable deposit from anyone, but we do make reference to it in the Credit Boost agreement, and you can read it yourself, but it just simply says that we'll waive that if you enroll in 2 days of receiving the DocuSign. So just understand that that is an effective and legal and ethical sales strategy to let them know, hey, if you take action today, I can waive that almost $1,000 deposit you normally would have to pay. That does encourage people. That's a common sales strategy, and it certainly works. Okay, so 4 key selling points. Number 1, no upfront cost. With the second point, if you get started today, we can actually waive the normal deposit you'd have to pay. Key selling point number 2, quick results. What do people want? They want free and they want fast, right? Free and fast. So here it's quick results. We're going to be able to add on average the first 100 points in just 30 to 60 days. That doesn't mean that the maximum that we can help someone with is only a 100-point increase. They may need more than that. They may want more than that. Of course, at some point it comes down to their credit profile and what's going on. If they're at a 699, you know, are we going to get much more than 100 points? Obviously, probably not. But if they're in the 400s or 500s or low 600s, then getting more than 100 points becomes more probable. But the bottom line is quick results. And you can let them know that we averaged the first 100-point increase in just the first 30 to 60 days. People like that. Now, I had a guy this morning email me, is it immediate? If I enroll, is it immediate? Well, of course not. That's too good to be true, right? None of this is fictitious. None of this is gray. None of this is made up. No, you're not going to enroll today and see your credit score go up today. That's too good to be true. Okay, third is it's credible, which I guess kind of builds off of that transition. This is offered through the Institute for Improved Minority Financial Literacy. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We have all the documentation to support that. I don't work for IIMFL. I'm a volunteer. IIMFL is ran by volunteers. There's no one on the payroll for IIMFL. We're a volunteer-based 501c3 nonprofit helping improve financial literacy, improve credit, and increase access to capital. This is credible, credible, credible. And then lastly, no risk, the fourth of the 4 key selling points. As long as they'll enroll, they'll engage, they're going to recognize a credit increase. And we guarantee it. So again, if you look at the credit boost agreement, just to be clear, we guarantee that their credit scores will go up. So there's no risk, right? So if you could take these 4 selling points to the general public, hey, I've got a solution that can help you improve your credit. There's no upfront cost. We're going to see quick results. It's very credible, and there's no risk to you. Would you be willing to give it a try? My gosh, man, most people will. So that's the beauty of it. If you just get out there and create awareness, people will latch on to it. Okay, so we've covered the getting started. We've talked about it's important to have your landing page and the flyer that we provide. Talk about getting in the right mindset and 4 key selling points. So before I move on, I'd like to know what questions that any of you have on the getting started section. If it's a question not related to that, let's hold it for a minute. But let's pause for a moment. So when we look at the getting started section, do you have any questions about the mindset, the 4 key selling points? Any questions anyone has? Just type it into the Q&A, please. Okay, so we're rolling on. So now we're going into the next section, which are the lead development strategies. And we can always count on Robert, who's on the call, one of our joint venture incubator partners. He always likes to ask, well, how are the most successful people generating the results that they are? And so that's why we got them on the Zoom last night, and that's why we're doing this today. So how can you go about developing this? I can approach that question 2 ways. One of which is, it's your job to do that. That's what you're paid to do. You're paid $5 per point of increase for each person you refer in to go generate leads. I don't think that we're going to make marketers, business developers, salespeople out of someone. We're not a sales training program. So at some point, either you have an acumen to promote and to educate and to be able to generate leads or not. The other answer I can give is, well, let's look at some of the best strategies that we've seen. So some of you are using social media and or online marketing to post about credit boost. That's a very generic statement right there, because there's a lot of different strategies that different people are using. And number one, we can't really infringe on their success to say, oh, just go do what Monique does. Monique feeds in a bunch of clients. I'll just tell you exactly what Monique does. Well, that's not fair to Monique. But the bottom line is certainly using online promotion is a no-brainer. If you have an acumen for that, then great. If you don't, maybe you want to team up with someone that does, or just not use that business development strategy. Okay, next. Certainly, we are a big advocate for bullet number 2, which is connecting with key influencers, because what you have to remember is that there are people out there that already have a list. We'll just simplify it. There's people out there that already have a list of people with bad credit. And if you connect with those people, the key influencers, and make it worth their while and earn their trust, of course, then they can feed you leads. And so that's what we're talking about here. Connect with key influencers, and you may want to offer a revenue share. Well, who are key influencers? Could be pastors of churches, We've talked recently about working with credit repair companies. It could be almost anyone in the business to business space or in the financial lending space. You could go to car dealerships and get referrals. I talked to the general manager of a Chevrolet dealership just yesterday on the phone. A lot of times they're excited to have a resource to help people that can't get approved for financing to buy a car, to buy a house, whatever it is they're selling. And so key influencers makes a lot of sense. So you need to get your flyer in front of them, create some credibility, explain the pitch, and have them refer into you. Regarding the credit repair section, again, we don't do credit repair. Many of you do, and many of you are great at it, and that's fine. Or you have other referral relationships for credit repair, that's fine. That's not what we do. Because you and I know that there's a formula for getting better credit. It's typically removing negative and adding positive. Well, we do the second of the two. We help add positive. So working with others that remove negative is just fine. We don't compete with them. Third top lead development strategy is to educate. Most people don't know 1/100th of what you know. So you know a lot about credit and about how credit boosts can help people recognize an average of 100-point increase in just 30 to 60 days. Most people don't even know anything about that, right? So instead of selling, educate. And on each of your landing pages, we've put an embedded YouTube video to help you educate. You could set up an Eventbrite for free and have live webinars where you start it, you play that credit boost video, and then you wrap it up. You can be creative. And again, I don't think it's our job to teach you how to be an effective marketer, but our job is to give you the resources and support to be successful. The point is, education is a great way. I told you this, back when I was a high school teacher, I would go to apartment complexes and usually on Saturday mornings, and I would teach a credit literacy little course in the community room, in their common area. So the apartment complex would put it on their calendar. They would promote it. Usually they would provide some donuts and pastries, or if we did it Saturday afternoon, some finger foods, because it's good for them. It's good PR for their community. And I'd come out and teach about credit and enroll them in the credit program. And so you can do education in person or online. That's up to you, but certainly leading through education is a good, fun, credible way to go about it. And then the last lead development strategy, and this was an interesting one, one of the folks on the Zoom yesterday just clarified, everywhere he's at, he's sharing the word. He's in line at the grocery store talking to the people in front of him and behind him. And so this isn't exactly his quote, but this is maybe something that you could consider. So you could just, as you're talking to people, you want to let them know, hey, I'm a credit literacy educator with a 501c3 nonprofit that received grant funding to help people quickly improve their credit scores with no upfront cost by adding positive credit. In fact, we average a 100-point increase in just the first 30 to 60 days. Do you know anyone that might have bad credit? And the average person is going to know other people that have bad credit. And the average person is going to say, well, yeah, I'm that person. I'm one of those. So if you become engaged that you are a credit literacy educator, you're helping people solve problems, you're doing something that's credible and needed, the more you promote it. Just like if you went and opened a Domino's franchise, what would you do when you're in the line at the grocery store? You'd be letting them know, hey, I own the local Domino's franchise. You should come in. We got a great special, $5.99 on mediums. You would be actively spreading the word. It would become part of your DNA of who you are, so people know, because a lot of people need this resource and others will need it and or know others that could benefit from it. All right, so those were the top 4 lead development strategies that the advisory group came up with last night. What questions, concerns do any of you have about what they came up with on top lead development strategies? Anything? Great. Yeah, and Joseph, Joseph's a realtor, and he's on the call here. So there's a lot of other key influencers that could have been listed here. It could be, again, car dealerships. It could be realtors. It's typically those people that are in the community that are interfacing with clients on the topic of credit, and so they would especially know those people that have been declined. That's your most motivated prospect, right? Someone that went to the bank and they were declined for a business loan because of credit. Someone that went to the apartment complex and they were declined an apartment to live in for their family because of credit. People have gone to the used car lot and so forth. So the point is, there certainly are other types of key influencers. We just gave a couple examples. Okay, so let's see here. We got a couple other questions. Yep, Dion, you're welcome to use that YouTube video and use that however you would like. That's approved material, so the more you can promote it, the better we are. Barry's asking for a copy of this cheat sheet. Yes, sir. I will send that out with a recording. Jim's asking as far as branding. So certainly you can go out to the marketplace as your own company, Jim, if you'd like. Now, obviously the Credit Boost program is a program that's administered by IIMFL, and that's good, right? We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We're legitimate, we're credible, but certainly as you're out marketing, if you want to go under your company umbrella, that is fine, Jim. And Robert asked if we sent out last night's Zoom. So last night's Zoom wasn't a normal training. It was a think tank session. So no, it wasn't circulated, Robert. Okay, so let's get down to success tips, and then we'll open it up again for questions. And so here's what the folks said last night. Number one, have a goal. Having goals is powerful because you've committed to yourself some production level, because otherwise life gets busy. And the easiest goal that they recommended from last night is just have a goal of feeding in at least one prospect per day to your landing page. And frankly, that takes the burden off of you, because if they come through the landing page, then we're going to send them the DocuSign Credit Boost, and it's going to prompt them or remind them every day for 120 days. You'll be copied off of that, and you will receive an executed copy of their Credit Boost agreement once they've enrolled. So you will absolutely, positively know every time someone enrolls, because you're copied on the DocuSign. So they sign it, we sign it, and then you get an executed copy. Of course, they get an executed copy as well as us. So the goal that they recommended is be consistent, generate at least one lead per day. Now, ideally, more is better. And of course, it's not just about leads, it's conversions, but keeping it real simple on your side, because you're not responsible for converting anyone. You're not responsible for selling anything to anyone. You have no responsibility for closing anyone at anything. So you make a boatload of money, an average of $500 per lead that converts by just generating the leads. That's huge. That's huge. I don't think you're going to find another side gig that's going to pay more. So if you have at least a daily goal of one prospect per day, that's going to put you on a 6-digit income trajectory, which is important. If you're making $100,000 in 2021 as a credit literacy educator, most likely you'll be around in 2022. But if you generate no money in 2021, guess what? You probably won't be around in 2022, because you need to go sell something else or educate on something else or do something else, because you're not very good at it. So we want to keep you. We want you to be rewarded, and we want to help a lot of people together. And so if you set a daily goal of one per day, that helps you keep on the top of your mind. You get up in the morning, okay, I've got to get at least one person in. And before I go to bed at night, I need to get at least one person in. Did I do it or not? That top of mind awareness is going to be motivating for you, and the economic rewards are generous. Okay, number two. If you're actually speaking to the prospect, and we realize in some of these strategies you may not speak to them, you're just promoting your landing page and they're just going into it. So we're not saying that you have to speak with them first. Don't misinterpret. But if you are speaking with them, understand their why. And I think it was Elon that brought this up yesterday, and that's why she's hitting big numbers. Understand their why, because credit itself really isn't important. It's the utility of credit, what we do with credit. And so ask them, how would you benefit if you had better credit? What would you do with a better credit score? If you had an 800 credit score in 30 days or 60 days, what would you go do? I'd go buy a car. I'd buy a house for my family. I'd get that business loan I need. So get them to articulate what it is that they're wanting. Have them verbalize how their life would be better. And then when you dovetail that back with what we said, so let's just role play for a second. So we've got Josh on here. And so if I were having this conversation with Josh, whether it be telephonically or even text or in person, I'd say, Josh, how would your life be better if you had, let's say, an 800 credit score in 30 to 60 days? And so then Josh is going to come back and tell me what his why is. And then I'm going to piggyback off that and say, well, great. With our program, Josh, there's no upfront cost. We got quick results, credible model, no risk. Let's go ahead and get started today, Josh. What do you think? And so that dovetails in to the final point here that the group came up with yesterday is create urgency. People can get distracted and I don't want to say lazy, but they can just focus on other things. And obviously, improving their credit wasn't a priority yesterday, or they didn't take action on it. So you want to create some urgency. So you want to kind of be a hard closer. And I say that tongue in cheek because you're not closing anyone in anything. You're just trying to get them into the funnel. So be assertive about it. Don't be passive, because what we offer is credible. It's valuable. There's no upfront cost. They're going to be able to see quick results, and there's no risk. So you don't want to just pussyfoot around about it. You want to be able to be aggressive and let them know, hey, you've got a problem. We've got a solution. I can even waive the normal $995 deposit if you're willing to get started today. What do you say? Let's give it a try. And that's what Elon loves to say. Let's give it a try. It's very non-confrontational. It's engaging. And people typically will say, okay, I'll give it a try. And the other quote here is, you deserve better credit. Let's get started today with no upfront cost, guaranteed results, and no risk. Okay. And that was another way of wording what I did, kind of off the cuff here. All right. So I want to open it up for your questions and concerns. This is our last training of 2020. This completes the 3-session series that we've had on Credit Boost this week. It's relevant to those of you that are out helping small business owners, because what happens when you ask them, well, how would you benefit by having better credit? And they say, well, I need capital for my business. All of a sudden, cha-ching, right? The light bulb goes off. Well, great. Let's get you enrolled in Credit Boost right now. And also I can get you plugged into our Access to Capital program. That guarantees at least a $100,000 capital raise with no upfront cost for your business. See, once you know what their motivation is, then you can not only solve this problem through Credit Boost, but you can almost have a 1-for-1 turnaround in getting them enrolled in the Access to Capital program. Often personal credit is the barrier that these individuals have faced. True, they may not have a business plan, but they're probably not sitting around thinking about that. Sure, they may not have an optimized personal financial statement, but again, that's usually not top of mind. What they're usually thinking is, oh crap, my personal credit's not good and I can't get a loan from anywhere, or I can't get the type of loan or funding I need. So I just wanted to clarify that as you're helping them articulate what the utility of credit is, why they want better credit, if they say anything about starting or growing a business, then you're going to automatically close them on this or get them into the system and then feed them into the access to capital funnel, which is going to help them have the capital raise for their business. All right, so thanks for that. Let's get to your questions. In terms of timing, Robert asked, after the initial 100 points, how long before they see further increases? There's not a generic answer to that, Robert. It's not that simple. What we're going to do is do a soft credit pull. We're going to analyze their credit and create a strategy based upon their credit profile. Not everyone's going to be in the same boat. I'm not here to say, and don't misrepresent, I'm not saying that just by adding positive credit that they're going to get an optimal score, because we've talked at least twice today. We said the formula for optimal credit is removing negative and adding positive. What we do together is add positive. But I'm not saying that they might not benefit. Let me rephrase that. I am not saying that they wouldn't also benefit from getting help removing negative. I'm just clarifying that's not our role. That's not what we do. So in terms of how long after the first 100 points until they continue to see an increase will very much be dependent upon their credit profile. So there's not a generic answer. We never want to oversell and underdeliver. So everything that I've said here is approved content. It's true. It's hopefully you feel it's professional. It's credible. We don't want to skew the story and create unrealistic expectations, because then they'll be mad at you and us both. Okay, let's see here. Robert says yes for goals and systems. All right, Jim asks, how do I present the opportunity to a potential referral partner without them discovering that they become a credit literacy educator? Well, what I would do is let them know that the role that you have and that you would like to collaborate with them, whereby they just simply provide you leads. And those leads could come, some of you are getting leads off of getting spreadsheets from referral sources, one by one. But the bottom line is you can do a revenue split with them, and it keeps them from needing to learn something new. There's a lot of people that have a lot of referrals, but the last thing they want to do is learn something new or do something new. So you're able to step in and be a valuable resource for them. For example, EJ and I were on a call, and you've heard me mention this before, and it's true. It was right before Christmas. This guy does online leads for credit repair companies. And he has one client that he sells the credit repair leads to, but that credit repair company charges an average of $1,000 up front. So what happens is a lot of the leads that he's generating can't or won't pay the $1,000 up front. So what's the point? He's got a bunch of leads already that he's not doing anything with. It's not like, oh, he was sending them to a competitor of Credit Boost previously. He's done nothing with them. And that's typically the same when you're talking to used car lots and apartment complexes. Getting credit declines is certainly the ripest type of lead you could ever get. But ultimately, what you want to do, Jim, is approach those referral partners, let them know you'll take care of everything. You just simply want to be able to collaborate with them, and you're willing to do a 50-50 revenue share. Again, you don't have to do a 50-50 revenue share, but when people hear that, they love it. Seems equitable. And so that would get them $2.50 for every point of credit score increase. So on average, they would get $250 from each client, at least $250 from each client that they refer. I think when you keep it simple for them, they'll be drawn into it, Jim. Thank you for that question. Anna Marie says training was great. Thank you, ma'am. David says, should we enroll them in both or let the access push them through? Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase. I think There's two different ways. So certainly we can go out to the marketplace and focus on access to capital. And we'll be talking more about that next week when we come off the holiday break. Or you can go to the marketplace with Credit Boost. It's really up to you which program you want to lead with. And it may be based upon the party that you're talking to. You know, if you're talking to a credit repair company for referrals, I'd be starting with Credit Boost. So you can do either, David, just depending upon what your campaign is. Do you want to lead with access to capital? Because of course, if they enroll in access to capital in week 2, we do a soft credit pull and we see that there's some deficiencies, and obviously we're going to recommend Credit Boost. Or you can have a specialized campaign on Credit Boost alone. So there's not a wrong or right answer. It's whatever your campaign is based around, David. And Monique makes a great point. She's mentioned that before, is that, you know, legal, and I'm reading directly from her post. Legally, no one can guarantee a score. So be mindful of that when doing consultations. And so that's consistent. What we're saying is, we can't guarantee that they're going to get a specific credit score. You've heard me make references, and our agreement states that as well, by the way, for the clients. But certainly what we can do is start painting a picture and sharing with them that there is a no upfront cost resource with quick results that's credible and no risk. And oh, by the way, you know, if you're willing to get started today, I can go ahead and waive that normal $1,000 deposit. That's a great technique to get them into the sales funnel quickly. Thank you for that, Monique. Okay, so got a bunch of bright minds on here. We've got Dion and Anna Marie and Annette and Antonio and Barry and Bruce and David and James and Jim and Joseph and Josh and Monique and Robert, Sterling, Will and others. Some of you are doing great. Some of you, I think, aren't doing so great. And so I'd love to hear from you. What else do you need? If you look at your personal income for December 2020, and it's not what you need it to be, could this help? Can you envision taking the Credit Boost program out to the marketplace next month, January, helping an average of one client a day earn an extra $10,000 from that work with a very part-time side gig? Do you see that? That's what we're trying to describe, or is there something missing? Is there something about the Credit Boost for those of you that are struggling financially that you don't feel that you know enough or have the tools or have the support to go execute? Because that's the real goal today, is to overcome the barriers that you may have to be successful. Because we've got the haves and have-nots. There's some of you that are just knocking it out of the park. And there's others of you that I'm not sure that there's even a little blip on the EKG. It's just like a straight line. So our job is to figure out, what do we need to do to better support you, to help you help others, and earn at least $10,000 in January. So questions, comments, concerns before we hang it up for today's training? Yes, we are having a credit literacy educator special training tomorrow on New Year's Eve at 10 o'clock Central. I'll send that reminder out, and that is open to current credit literacy educators as well as joint venture incubator partners. So those are the folks that are on board. And so I will send a reminder out for that. So that's kind of a closed training for those of you that are on board already or get on board today. It's not for prospects, not for tire kickers. Thank you, Jim, for asking that. All right, so for those of you that are on board, I'll get a reminder out for our 10 o'clock Central tomorrow special training. And otherwise, we'll be back next week on, I believe, January 4th on Monday on our normal schedule. Thanks, everyone. Happy New Year's. Bye-bye.